There's this new culture on TikTok that's going around of women saying that men aren't lonely enough, and this is exceptionally dangerous for women. Do you know what happens when men get lonely? Their isolation turns into aggression, and guess who that's taken out on? So as a woman, before you promote men aren't lonely enough, be very careful because the consequences may be coming for you.
Well, that sounds like a threat. And it's the same tired script that women have been hearing for centuries. Be careful what you wear. Be careful how much you drink. Be careful if you walk home alone. Be careful if you reject him, because if a man reacts badly, somehow it's always our responsibility. And now they're adding a new one. Be careful. Men are lonely. Or else what? They'll be violent. They'll vote badly. They'll start a podcast. I hate to break it to you, but men have already been doing that for quite a while. Well before they became lonely. If the solution to men's loneliness is that women must lower their standards, smile more, sleep with men that they don't find attractive, then that is entitlement. Here's a radical idea. What if we treated men like accountable adults instead of unstable toddlers whose emotions must be managed by women? Imagine saying men are lonely. That is hard. How can we encourage them to go to therapy instead of women, fix it or else you will suffer? Because let's be honest, women are lonely too, and yet no one is saying be careful, lonely women are coming to get you. When women are lonely, we go to therapy, we call friends, we journal, we buy vibrators. We do not threaten society. If men are lonely, the answer isn't fear, it is growth. And if that sounds confronting, then good, because the real danger isn't men being lonely. It is men believing that their loneliness is women's fault.
I personally struggle with lust. And as someone who's trying to overcome my lust so I can become a better person, I don't want to go into the gym to work out and see ass and tits in my face.
No hate to this creator at all. I just see a few flaws. Number one, for me, you talked about how you struggle with lust and you don't want to go to the gym seeing women butt naked. You struggling with lust is your own problem, and it's not up to women to change what they're wearing so then you aren't faced with lusting over them. You struggling with that is your responsibility to fix, not anyone else's, especially not a woman. That is your problem. And, you could say it's disrespectful to be naked in front of people, whatever. But it is not their responsibility to say, he struggles with lust, let me put more clothes on. I also don't care that this guy has his profile pic as a shirtless picture. Again, live your best life, you do you. But I feel as though if a woman had a shirt with like a bra on or something like that, it would also be a problem. So I just think the double standard is a bit crazy. And I think the same goes with the male loneliness epidemic and us saying it's basically women's responsibility and that's why men are lonely, because of women, instead of just holding men accountable. So I just think we need to look at the double standards before maybe we share or give our opinion.
We all saw this one, right? Someone sent me this one. These videos remind me of this one. If you didn't see it, this man humiliates his future wife while he's saying vows in front of everybody. He makes sexual jokes. It's really, really gross. The women in these videos are being put in physically or emotionally dangerous situations by the people who claim to love them. It's relatively common to see women's pain or discomfort as the butt of jokes. And a lot of the times, the defense to that is she's laughing, she's playing along. That ignores the cultural context. Men are dangerous. Embarrassing men is a dangerous thing to do. Doing anything, especially as a woman, that could make a man feel emasculated or embarrassed is dangerous. It can be physically dangerous, like when a man comes on to you and you tell him no. He may lash out at you verbally or physically. Because a lot of men have very minimal experience with real accountability when they become adults who in a relationship are told something that they did was hurtful, it feels like an attack. They internalize that they are bad because their behavior hurt someone. Because someone has an issue with the impact of their behavior, they feel like their intent is being questioned and they feel disrespected or embarrassed or ashamed. And men are not taught how to have negative reactions to things or process that unless it's through anger or deflection or, again, pushing it down, feeling bad about yourself. Young boys have this practice withheld from them. They are discouraged from learning the skills of self-regulation and healthy coping mechanisms. So when they're upset, the people around them get hurt. I can guarantee every woman has had an experience, even young. I can think of it in elementary school when a boy has said something cruel to me and it was safer for me to swallow it or deal with it or change my expectations than speak up. Because teachers were going to brush it off? Because he was going to say cruel things to me in response or spread rumors? Or I'd heard stories about that happening to friends. Just because someone has put up with bad, mean, hurtful behavior for 10, 15, 20, 30 years doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Just because these people feel like it is safer to deal with cruelty than to speak up against it doesn't mean it's okay. We live in a society that has normalized violence and contempt against women. And then says, see, she likes it.
There is no male loneliness epidemic. It is a loser epidemic. Men would rather be alone than to evolve and change, than to recognize, wait, maybe I had it wrong. Maybe there's something I need to change. If you can't get a woman because none of them want to be with you, maybe try and figure out why. Instead of making women the problem, saying that their standards are too high, maybe try and figure out why they don't want to be with you. What is it about you that maybe needs to change in order for a woman to want you? And they'll say, oh, there's no more good women left. Women are not like what they used to be. Women used to spend their days in the kitchen. Women only cared about taking care of the house and the kids. Oh yeah, and also women used to take our beatings. Women used to stay quiet. Women didn't complain. Women didn't think they could get better. Women didn't have confidence and self-worth and weren't able to speak up for themselves. And that suited you. That's the kind of person you wanted. If you love your mum's generation so much, cool, maybe marry one of her single friends. Women are not the problem. They have just woken up and realized they deserve better, that they don't actually need anything from these men, and they're only going to accept a man in their life if the man can make their life better. And if you cannot do that, you will not be chosen. If you can't level up and be the kind of man that women of this day and age want, you won't get to have a woman in this day and age. Your tricks are not working anymore. The internalized misogyny, the oppression, all of that, it's not working anymore. Women are waking up from it. Women are healing. Women are learning to love themselves and their own company. Women are learning to support and love each other and have communities and have friendships that are valuable and fulfilling. We now know that getting married and having children is a choice, that you don't have to do that, that is not what makes you successful or fulfilled in life. In fact, having kids when you haven't healed yourself and you don't know your own worth is actually the problem. It's why so many, if not all of us, have childhood traumas, have issues. What's happening right now is very normal. It's called evolution. It's happened many times before. When conditions change in the world, you either evolve to survive or you get left behind. This is evolution. Instead of complaining about it, evolve.
I want to be the man in the relationship. I'll be the provider and you stay home and take care of the house. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I want that too. But I don't want a gold digger, so you're gonna have to get a job. All right. I guess I'll try to make that work. I don't want you to make too much money though, because that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't want you nagging or controlling me. I already have a mom. I don't need another one. Although I really liked how she cleaned up behind me and did my laundry, so if you could do that, that'd be great. I want a loyal woman. But what I do is my own business, and who I follow on social media, I mean, I'm a man, I don't know, I can't help it.
I don't want to hear anything about the male loneliness epidemic, because this is an actual message that a man sent to me on Hinge like 2 weeks ago. And I've still been thinking about it, and I'm still dumbfounded that this man said this. Okay. A little background. He likes my picture, we match. Somewhere in his profile it says his like hometown was someplace in New Jersey. So I start the conversation and I say, you really do look like you'd be from New Jersey. He responds, he says, that's me. Already ill. Then somewhere in his profile it said, like the prompt was, you should not go out with me if, and he said, you don't like to debate or something like that. So I say, typo, but I say, what are we going to debate? And this is where it gets fishy. He says, depends if you're going to cancel me or not. Now, this could go very poorly or it can go fine, but I'm feeling iffy. I'm feeling weird about this guy. So I'm a little mean to him in the next message. And I say, already going to cancel you for being a 25-year-old man and not knowing the difference between you and your. Listen, I know I was mean, but you have to hear me out. I was feeling not great, but I was like, you know what, let me play along. And then this is one that gets me. He says, well, you're going to love when I hit you over the head with a shovel like Ted Bundy. Right. And I say, was this supposed to be a debate topic or, and he says, nah, just a bucket list. This is what I have to choose from. These are the slim pickings that I get to pick from. Did he think that was a way to pick up women? Did he think that was funny? Obviously, I think he thinks that was a joke. But like, in this climate, this is why there's a male loneliness epidemic.
As a man, I am also so tired of toxic men. I am so happy to see the personal growth and the confidence in the women in my life. Women are done sacrificing themselves for the illusion of intimacy. And if women need to be subjugated for men to feel love, then it was never about love. It was about power and ego. It's not emotional intimacy they seek, but power. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony. I am the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Oh, some of you ain't know, I've been married for the past 5 years, and I'll be honest, I was not attracted to my wife when I first met her. She was not my speed. She's like the complete opposite of who I normally go after, but I just decided to give her a chance. Like I said, once again, she was not my type. She was not that attractive to me. But there was just something about her. I met her. We talked for a couple days. We hung out. She seemed very supportive. So I'm like, why not? I mean, you're not my type, but I'm going to give you a chance because I normally go for this type. And then after a while, she just grew on me. Her looks grew on me in about the 48, 72 hour mark in the sense of, I think I can do this. What I'm trying to get at is just because you're not that attracted to someone does not mean you don't give them a chance. Now, some of you are infuriated with me right now talking about why do I need to embarrass my wife like that? Why do I need to talk about her looks when I can just talk about the positives and not embarrass her on the internet? So why are you mad at me trying to hold me accountable for the words that I'm saying, but you not in her comment section talking about, girl, you wouldn't need to embarrass that man on the internet like that? Okay.
I want to say this very carefully without like insulting you. Like, to me, I think you're really, really attractive. However, to other people, they may not find you really, really attractive or as attractive as I find you. So it concerns me that you receive a large amount of those type of messages because if you take into a men's ideology of what the perfect woman would be like, they would probably describe a blonde, 5'1", relatively decent sized boobs and bum. I can only imagine the abuse and harassment you get yourself, how much abuse the next person would get, if you know what I mean. I just think it's so disgusting.
There's a male loneliness epidemic. Isn't it funny how there isn't a female one though? Well, yeah, because men suffer in silence. Then why do I keep hearing about it? It's actually a really serious issue. Define what lonely means to men. Well, women don't wanna... I didn't say anything about women. I said define the word lonely. Being single? No. What? That's not what loneliness is. Plenty of people of all genders are single. That doesn't mean they're lonely. Yes, it does. No, it just means you are. So say that. Okay, it's lonely being single. Not for women. What? Do you have any friends? Yes, a few. Do you have any family? Yes, I do. Then how are you lonely? Because no one's having sex with you? Well, yeah. Okay, that's not loneliness. That's just you not having sex. That's women's fault. Okay, what are you doing to make women not want to sleep with you? This is dumb. Yes, some people do find accountability to be dumb when they don't want to take it.
Let me tell you, men are not lonely enough. Tell me why I'm in this grocery store and I exit the grocery store and this guy walks up to me and approaches me. He's super awkward, super cute, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so sweet. And he approached me and he asked for my number and you just tell he was nervous. So I was like, oh my gosh, maybe he's just like a kind, genuine person. Like he seems so nervous. We end up chatting and talking over text and he seems really sweet and he was like, I'm so sorry if I'm nervous. And I'm like, oh, don't be, it's like a nerve-wracking thing. We're planning to go on this keep in mind, he pointed this out, this is important. He wanted to go on a little pottery date where we paint the ceramics and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. Keep in mind, I'm 21, this man is 29. I understand that is quite the age gap, but I was in it for the bit. I was like, oh my gosh, 29, like he is going to be looking for something, maybe he can plan a date, better than the guys my age, am I right? Anyways, so he wants to go on this little pottery date, right? That was Friday when we're talking. We talk all day Saturday. He's getting to know me. this is when things take a turn. I sent him a photo of the dress that I was like wearing on Saturday for a swing dancing event, and he said something along the lines of, I need to tear that dress off you. And I was like, whoa, I haven't even gone out with you, and you're already saying like extremely lustful things to me over text. Like, I like a good compliment, like any person, like, oh, you look beautiful, that is great. But like, this man was lusting over me, and he kept asking for selfies. He asked me to send him a pic of my ass, because he said, and I quote, when he asked me out, that I look wow. That's how he described me, wow, which is extremely flattering. I'm a personal trainer, I got a nice ass. But at the same time, you can't say like, let's go on a wholesome pottery date and then just be like, wanna fuck? Like, that's where that was going. And so I'm getting ahead of myself. Point is that I keep texting this man, and he just keeps asking and like saying all these sexual things, and I'm like, hey, you know, kind of seems like we're looking for different things here. And he goes, no, like, I want to get to know you, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well, he had asked me earlier in the conversation, he's like, well, I just don't understand how a girl like you is single, like, you're so perfect, blah blah blah. Completely love bomby. And I was just like, I recircled back to that, and I was like, everything you're doing right now is the reason I'm single. The fact that like we're supposed to be going on this wholesome pottery date tomorrow, and you're sending me all these like disgusting lustful texts, I don't even freaking know you, like, what? And when he ends up following up and like changing the conversation, saying, are we still hanging out tomorrow, aka Sunday? And I was like, yeah, of course, like, we can still hang out, like, what's up, like, what are we gonna do? Thinking that, you know, he planned this pottery date, that we're still gonna do this pottery date, right? He says, I want to do you. Laugh out loud. I want to take you to the Bluffs, which in my hometown is a local hookup spot, and, you know, I want to, maybe we can like work out at the gym before that, and you can correct my form, because I'm a personal trainer. And he's clearly making a sex joke. And the point is, I was just so disappointed. Like, this man, 29, seemed super genuine. All Friday and Saturday, he was getting to like know me, asking all these questions, being very consistent, and then suddenly it's just like, let me get in your pants. And it was just so disappointing, because I don't know, like, it just, he seemed like a genuine person. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like hooking up or things like that. That's wonderful, but that's not what I'm looking for. And I made that very clear to him. And I was like, hey, you know, I can't do that. Like, that's not what I'm looking for right now. And anyways, he ended up saying like, no, don't worry, I'm looking for a relationship too. Obviously, that's bullshit. Like, nothing I hate more. Sorry, I had to fix it. But like, nothing bothers me more than when guys will say, hey, I want a relationship, after clearly like being lustful, just so they can try and get the girl to sleep with them. Like, I've had men like literally admit, they're like, oh yeah, no, a lot of guys, if they're like, oh, I am looking for something more, they lure the girl into bed to try to sleep with her, and then they're just like, poof, gone. And it's just like, I'm old enough and mature enough to where it's like, come on, buddy, like, you're not texting all those seriously lustful things and then wanting a serious relationship. Like, let's be real here, there can be both, not in this case. And I just think it was really gross, because at the last bit of the conversation, he goes, wow, you know, you're just so mature and smart for 21. I love that, by the way. And I'm like, really? Ew. So like, that makes me think that because you heard that I was 21, that you think I was gonna be like easy to manipulate and get in bed? Really?
Treat women like a 10-year-old and they'll love you for it. So
No, they won't.
when you're on a date, don't, for example, talk about politics, economics, all those complicated things.
Then what should be the topic of conversation?
Talk about food, sex, partying, going on vacation. That's the things that women resonate well with.
Really? But one said to treat women like 10-year-olds. Are those really the topics of conversation that one normally has with 10-year-olds?
When they argue with you, don't get upset. Would you get upset if you were arguing with a 10-year-old? Of course not, because they are a 10-year-old.
Is it just me, or are they actually trying to equate the average woman's intellectual abilities as well as maturity level to that of a 10-year-old?
So when you get into an argument with a 10-year-old, or you get into an argument with a woman, you kind of like, okay, no problem. You blow it off.
Yep, that's really what they were doing.
But when you're dealing with a woman, deal with her as a 10-year-old, and you will understand and appreciate your audience much better, and you'll be much more poised in dealing with the said person. Moreover, you will not be disappointed when the person acts out, because of course she is acting like a 10-year-old.
Well, in the history of dating advice, this might actually be the first time I've ever heard anyone think that it was a good idea to tell men to treat their potential women partners as if they have the same mentality of someone who has yet to go through puberty. Did one really think this through?
You know, men are so lonely. We have a real male loneliness epidemic on our hands. And this is a societal issue because sometimes lonely men can turn violent, and they can turn that violence in on themselves or out towards the people around them. Men possess more emotional rationality in their little fingers than you women have in your entire clam. Men are falling behind, you know, and we really need to come together as a society to help them get back ahead. Men are natural, instinctive, inherent leaders, a quality God would have given you women if it wouldn't have gotten lost in the folds of your labia majora. My kid's birthday, I don't really know. You'd have to ask my wife about all that stuff. She knows all that stuff. Their birthdays, their allergies, their full government names. I am the leader and the head of the household because my beaner is an antenna to God.
I laugh every single time I see anything about like the male loneliness epidemic, because every woman I know is like the most beautiful, considerate, thoughtful, lovely person and is trying to find love, and then every man I encounter is fumbling the baddest bitch on the planet because of their own ego or own self issues. I was supposed to go on a first date a week ago. This was with somebody that I had met in real life through a friend. We got along super well. Honestly, he was doing everything right leading up to the date. He was like calling me and texting me and being really sweet, and even like texting our mutual friend and being like, oh, like, what does Tanya like? And he was doing great. However, we were supposed to go out Saturday during the day. On Friday night, we were on the phone just chatting, and he asked me to send him my location, and I said no. I was like, you don't need to know my address. We've only met once. Like, I don't know you like that. I told you my neighborhood if you're trying to figure out how far you are from me. That's all you really need to know. And when I said that, he was like, oh, why? Do you think I'm going to abduct and kidnap you? And I was like, no, but I don't know you. I'm not sending you my address. And then I decided to let it slide because sometimes people just say dumb things and they don't think about it. I didn't genuinely get a feeling of unsafety or danger. But then the next day, like 30 minutes before we're supposed to meet, we were supposed to go to this market thing together and then maybe like go to a park to play chess. And he was like, hey, like, let's skip the market. And then he had planned out like this whole day. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, but I do really want to go to the market as well. So like maybe we can do both. To which his response was, Tanya, you're making it really hard to abduct and kidnap you. How are you making this statement twice? It wasn't funny the first time you did it. It's still not funny the second time you did it. So when he said that to me, I was like, hey, you might not want to make comments like that to a woman that you barely know. And he was like, oh, my sense of humor is just like dark and offensive. If that's a deal breaker for you, let me know. And I was like, no, dark and offensive humor I'm fine with. My therapist literally told me that I have the darkest sense of humor of anyone she's ever met. But I was like, jokes are generally funny. And then instead of apologizing at this point, he just doubled down and he said, TBH, I don't really appreciate being told how to socialize. Motherfucker, what? First of all, I didn't tell you how to socialize. All I said was, jokes are generally funny. Second of all, it sounds like you do need someone to tell you how to socialize because, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And then I was like, hey, I don't really appreciate being told that I'm going to get abducted and kidnapped by someone I'm about to go on a date with, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. And I did. And all of this is to say, if you see anything about the male loneliness epidemic and you're a male and you're wondering why, just know it is of your own doing. We are trying, but good fucking God, get your shit together.
Men are too dramatic to be friends with sometimes. A woman can be working on her second degree, have a full-time job, hit the gym, and still go out and party. Men forcibly seclude themselves just to lock in. What the fuck, bro?
We need to break the cycle of these tired-ass rules of what makes a man a man. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. A man can cry. A man can express himself through fashion. A man doesn't have to pay for everything at the dinner table. And about the overused gay allegations towards men, just because they don't follow the standards, I'm tired of hearing that bullshit. Just because a man wears lip balm, that doesn't make him gay. Just because a man wears piercings, that doesn't make him gay. Just because a man is brave enough to express his emotions and cry in this generation, it doesn't make him gay. I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, be a man, be a man, be a man.
But what is a man actually supposed to be? Let men be human, not programmed.
My oldest aunt died at the age of 49, and she was contained to her wheelchair when she died. Her husband of more than 20 years not only sped up her death for not properly taking care of her at home, he actually started a relationship with the next door neighbor. They would sit at a picnic table in their backyard and eat, laugh, and be affectionate towards each other. My aunt would sit in her living room in the wheelchair and watch them from the window. Diabetes and kidney were the official cause of her death, but I think a broken heart and emotional trauma was a contributor. It made me realize that some men are not listening, hearing, or caring about women in their lives. Nowadays, women are genuinely not interested in trying, let alone a relationship. They don't want to be someone's slave when they get off from work. They are choosing peace, true happiness, and freedom. The last thing most of them want is to be submissive while being cheated on. Men need to stop being in denial. Women are choosing freedom over dysfunctional relationship. I was watching news from a Brazilian TV network the other day. A man physically assaulted his ex-girlfriend and dragged her out of a car, causing her to have both of her legs amputated. One of the leaders of the Red Pill culture in Brazil was arrested and now released on the same day after physically assaulting his 3-month girlfriend because she refused to have sex with him. A man killed 2 female co-workers and then shot himself because they were in a higher position than him. A man set his ex-wife's house on fire with her and their children inside because she wanted to break up with him. I am genuinely scared for us and for the future girls who are growing up. Don't date someone who wants a wife and a child. Date someone who wants to be a good husband and father. Instead of reflecting and evolving, it seems the majority of men are doubling down on a system actually worsening their lives. Rather than embracing softness, they are choosing to be more hateful. It's weird how male loneliness is not just about being single or not. It's about having no friends. And still, women get blamed for it when guys could just be friends with each other. And that's the true problem. Men don't have solidarity for each other because masculinity, which is a social construct, not biology, rejects emotional vulnerability. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. So what actually says tell me your thoughts about this topic in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. Don't fail for the government, sign up, and nice to meet you. Until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.